Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and wow, do we have something to cover today. You know, at this point, almost every single week, I feel like I am seeing something in the news or something happens, and each time I feel like, okay, well, this is the biggest thing that we've ever seen since I got in this digital asset space. And this time, I think it really is the biggest thing that I've ever seen since I got in the digital asset space. And what I'm talking about is this Bank of England, Mark Carney, what he said yesterday and what came out. And I'm gonna literally, I want to read you literally one of the articles, because this is all so important. This is the big kahuna. This is the big deal. This is like everything that you and I have, and that anybody who's been following Ripple and XRP, everything that we've ever talked about, dreamed about, the pie in the sky, that's what this is. Okay? Now, before I get started, I have never said that XRP, never on this channel have I said that XRP is going to be the only digital asset in terms of a world currency or anything like that. I've always looked at XRP as more of like a bridge, like it'll be in the mix with some type of reserve currency bridge type thing. Well, and Brad Garlinghouse has said the same thing. He said there's not going to be one digital asset to rule them all, but I think that XRP is going to be one of the pivotal, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that for the entire world. Now, look what we have here. Okay, this first thing I'm going to show you is Jack the Ripper. This was sent to me yesterday. I think Mr. B sent this to me, and I just looked at it, and it's one of those things you see on a Friday, and you're like, really? And that's what I felt like yesterday afternoon. And so, what it was the Bank of England, Mark Carney. He says a new virtual currency could ease reliance on the US dollar. XRP is ready, and XRP will be the standard in the near future. The time has come. Everyone will use XRP. Now, he's out, excuse me, he's out in Jackson Hole, Wyoming at this the conference that they're having out there. I'll remember the name of the conference in a second. But I want to make sure everybody understands just how big this is. Not just that he said this. This is not, we've heard many times, whether it was Iran or China or Russia, to make references about the US dollar being the reserve currency and how it shouldn't be that way and all that, and how they're going to try to get around it or get around sanctions and all that. We've heard a lot of that type of talk. Those are from countries that we've traditionally been at odds with. Do you realize how big of a deal it is for the Bank of England governor, England, who has always been our ally? Do you know what a big deal it is for this guy to say this and to say it to literally lay out a challenge to the US dollar as the reserve currency on international television on CNBC, when he knows that all eyes are watching? That is unbelievable that he would get on there and say that. But what it tells me more than that is, think about how major of an insult that would be to the United States or to Donald Trump for this guy to get on there and say that. He wouldn't say that in a jillion years. He would not say that unless the United States already knew, and like we've said before, the cake was already baked. This has been a plan. It's been a plan for years and years and years, and it's, well, actually about 7, as long as Ripple's been in existence. They've been, or at least for the last 3 or 4 years, this has been in the works. Now, don't just take my word for it. In this video, I'm going to give you the resources where you can go and watch what some of the brilliant people in the XRP community have shown in the past that ties in with this, so you can really understand what just happened. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is this. And what this is from XRP Crypto Wolf. UK Central Bank Governor Carney sees digital currency displacing US dollar as global reserve. He discussed a new international monetary financial system, IMFS. Carney suggested a digital currency supported by an international coalition of central banks. Now, when I read this, remember I've done 2 videos on what Brad Combs brought up, his pre-allocation theory. Okay, it's his theory, but it's not a theory, folks. The only way that Ripple could ever pull off what they've stated as their goal, what they wanted to do, the only way it could ever be done is if XRP was allocated to the central banks and banks around the world so that they all stood to benefit from the creation of this network. That's the only way it could have been done. It's the only way it would have been done. We've shown proof after proof after proof of different central banks that Ripple's been working with. It's the only way that this would have gone down, and it is the way that this has gone down. Now, but let's read that one more time. Carney suggested a digital currency supported by an international coalition of central banks. Now he's talking about a digital currency. Who in digital assets? You tell me, what company associated with the use case for a digital asset has been seen in the room with multiple central bankers, with coalitions of central bankers? What company has multiple times, what company CEO has met and been seen and photoed with central bankers left and right? Only one. Only one, folks. Only one. And everybody knows it. What I can't believe is how long, what I guess I really can't believe is how the XRP community, as large as it is in the digital asset world, it really blows my mind that it's not even larger. And I think that overnight we're about to see it get much larger, because I think people are going to finally put this all together. One other point before I forget that I want to make about this is that this guy is not coming out and saying this right now for no reason. They are ready. Something is ready to go. He wouldn't be coming out announcing this unless the plan is in place and ready to roll. So that's another point I want to make before I leave this. Okay. Now I want to make sure that you all know where you can go and watch the video of his interview. It's a 10-minute, and Bank XRP put this up. The Bank of England Governor Mark Carney talks about Brexit and the global economy with CNBC. This is the full video. Towards the end is when the virtual currency part comes up. And so this is definitely, if you ever watch a video, you need to go, this is one of the ones you need to go watch. Okay, go to Bank XRP and also give him a subscribe, because this guy's on top of it all the time. All right, next. And this is from Jonathan D at XRP_YD7. And he sent this article, and this, I just have to read it to you, folks. Mark Carney, dollar is too dominant and could be replaced by digital currency. The Bank of England governor says stockpiling dollars has become a barrier to global trade. The Bank of England governor, Mark Carney, has challenged the dollar's position as the world's reserve currency, arguing that it could be replaced by a global digital alternative to end a savings glut that resulted in 10 years of low inflation and ultra-low interest rates. Likening the move to the end of the sterling's command of international money markets 100 years ago, Carney said the dollar had reached a level of dominance that meant it was a barrier to sustainable recovery. He said a new digital currency backed by a large group of nations would unlock dollar funds that governments currently hoard as an insurance policy in uncertain times. Governments stockpile dollars to ensure against swings in the U.S. economy, which in recent times have intensified, leading to a significant rise in the cost of borrowing. The digital currency could dampen the domineering influence of the U.S. dollar on a global trade, Carney said in a speech at the gathering of central bankers around the world in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. If the share of trade invoiced in a digital currency were to rise, shocks in the U.S. would have less potent spillovers through exchange rates, and trade would become less synchronized across countries. The dollar's influence on global financial conditions could similarly decline if a financial architecture developed around the new digital currency and it displaced the dollar's dominance in credit markets. By reducing the influence of the U.S. in the global financial cycle, this would help reduce the volatility of capital flows to emerging market economies. The Chinese currency, the renminbi, has been cited as an alternative to the dollar, along with proposed digital currencies such as Facebook's Libra. Carney said neither was in a position to take over from the dollar, but new technologies could allow for a global digital currency to challenge the U.S. currency. Digital currencies have attracted the attention of central banks in the past year as the prospect of mobile business and consumer transactions has become more popular. Excuse me. Earlier this year, let's see, I'm not going to read that part. But anyway, the bottom line, folks, and I think you should be getting the picture here. Remember, these guys are a Ripple customer. I'm not just saying, oh, Ripple met with Bank of England. They are a paying Ripple customer. Bank of England. Ripple's been working with Bank of England for I don't know how long. But let's move along. This is from, let me give him credit. This is from Jeremiah XRP at Jeremiah_20_9. This is from Ripple Insights. I'm not sure exactly when this came out. With 2017 now well underway, we remain hard at work, focused on adding exciting new features to the RCL and further improving the performance, stability, and quality of the Rippled open source code base. Most importantly, we remain more committed than ever to the simple goal of making XRP the world reserve digital currency. Does that sound familiar, folks? I mean, wow. Okay. Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. This was from this guy I featured yesterday. He keeps on putting out these tweets that make me think that he knows something, but I don't know if he's just putting out the tweets, but some of them that I've seen have been interesting enough for me to show you anyway. Ripple has the backing of 50 plus governments of the world's leading financial powerhouses. They have OPEC nations checked. The Bank of England, the US, France, Germany, Singapore, etc. all checked. They have the backing for XRP to become the new world currency. Enjoy the show. Now, let's look at this. This is from Mr. B at XRP Mister. This was an interaction here. This guy tweeted out the Bank of England news, okay, about Carney, when Carney came out and said this. Now, look who responded to this. If you're not following him on Twitter, you need to follow him at Ham Eggs and Sam. That's green eggs and ham. He goes by Sam I Am, but on his YouTube channel you need to go to as well. But what he was replying to this, and he said, if you think he's suggesting Libra, you're not paying attention. And he puts in here one of his past videos, and he's got the video set so it goes straight to the part where he's covering the Bank of England and Mark Carney. So first of all, he's to the lifeboats. Go give him a subscribe, and you can find, if you go if you want to find this from this link here, you can go to his feed and just look at his replies and his tweets and all that. But this is the video, and it'll blow you away. And this is what I want you all to do on this Saturday. You want to make your weekend? I want you to go and watch To the Lifeboats video here. It's called Ripple is the New Global Financial System. And watch, it's not going to hurt you to watch the whole video, but it's the part he's trying to get you to is about 20 minutes and 55 seconds or so. He literally goes through this whole thing with the Bank of England. It's awesome. And then I want you to watch that. And then I also want you to watch this. This is from Stuart XRP. You can go to his feed, and he's a definite follow too. At Stuart_XRP. Go watch this. In the first part, this is like a what does he call it? It's just a collection of different things where Ripple and Bank of England were mentioned, or Brad Garlinghouse brought it up. At the very beginning, Brad Garlinghouse tells you straight out that Bank of England is a paying customer. First thing out of his mouth. Okay, if you go watch those two things today, your weekend will be made against this backdrop. Okay, I also wanted to show this. I thought this was interesting. King Solomon sent me this. JP Morgan Mansart XRP 7.5% fund. He says, I deleted this earlier, but reposting, I can't find what's in this fund. Usually you can find what's in a fund portfolio. I did find Geo Risk Fund associated with this. Other links are bad, dead government fund links. And what he's posting here, and I don't even know what this is from, it says Collective Investment Scheme Register Data. And it looks like somewhere JP Morgan has an XRP fund. There's no telling what kind of funds we're going to have, but I just thought this was interesting enough to show you. All right, next. This is from Alpha Global, and I'll finish with this. Sent me this. He's, I guess, from Canada. From the Debate Post. Tell me if any of this is familiar to you. This story is from 2016, but it's a slow build-up. Did you see what Justin Trudeau slipped into the budget this week? Hidden away on page 223. It's called a bank bail-in regime. That means if a Canadian bank starts to fail, it would be allowed to seize your bank account to pay its bills. Seriously, it's what they did in Cyprus 3 years ago when bankers there made risky loans to Greece. In a backroom deal, politicians and bankers decided to pay off the bank debts by just seizing 10% of everyone's deposits. The country had a meltdown, banks closed, ATM withdrawals were limited. It was a disaster. Of course, well-connected insiders got all their cash out in time. It's all right there in black and white in Trudeau's budget. Introducing a bank recapitalization bail-in regime. This is what we've been talking about for a long time, folks. And if you're a Canadian, now you know that it applies to your country too. So these are the things that they're planning, and this is one of the core reasons that I am in digital assets, specifically on the Ledger Nano S and off the exchanges. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that the Bank of England has now come out and laid down the gauntlet. If the Bank of England is coming out and saying that the US dollar is going to be replaced by a digital asset, you better believe that the United States is in on the game, because that's not the type of announcement that England is going to come out with without already having had this conversation, and not just a conversation, but a plan, a well laid out plan, which includes the world's central bankers. Thank you for listening.